Let's talk Purdue's favorite prospect, Jack Benter. Jack Benter looks great in the Purdue scrimmages over the weekend. He was genuinely really versatile and kind of everywhere. As everywhere as you can be in games where, the ball is in Braden and TKR and Omer Meyer's hands. Like CJ and Jakari were the leading scorers. Oscar Clough had a double-double. Everyone on this roster was everywhere. You get the point. But it's kind of this funny thing. This roster's so deep. There's so many good players. There's so many like position battles going on that any player on the roster you could isolate and be like, they're in a battle right now. They're in a competition. It's like there's the competition for backup point guard, competition for starting shooting guard, competition for backup shooting guard, competition for who backs up Fletcher, competition for backup four, competition for the five spot. That's what happens when you have like 12 awesome players and everybody wants to play and everybody's deserving to play. But Jack Benter looked awesome in terms of his little battle for backing up Trey Kaufman-Renn. Advantage him based on what we saw. He outplayed Liam Murphy in these scrimmages. We were not the only people that thought that. We were not the only people that interpreted and saw it this way. Casey Bartley, shout out to Casey at C Bartley Purdue, tweeted this after the scrimmages. I think actually during the scrimmages. Quote, ready to call it. Jack Benter has the backup four spot for Purdue. These are never clean answers. Matchups, offense, defense, a bunch of subtleties and nuance throughout the season will potentially have Murphy have games, Burgess even, but Benter's feel and versatility on offense changes the dynamics for Purdue's offense in a way that makes an already unstoppable force become even more dangerous. I also want to go to an article that came out from Hammer and Rails. I believe also over the weekend, and it was Casey himself who wrote this article. This was his in-person takeaways from what he saw and heard at the scrimmage sessions over the weekend. Jack Benter got his own write-up, and this is what Casey wrote. He said, PJ Thompson told me in the summer geez, I'm reading the Omer Meyer excerpt. Excuse me. I'm on a video with you when my brain turns to Omer. Jack Benter set for backup four spot. This is what Casey wrote. There will be nuanced matchups and lots of changes throughout the season, but for now, Benter's work as a connector at the four shined above any other potential answer for Purdue. Liam Murphy looked good as well, but Benter's ability to play at all three levels, present himself as a matchup nightmare, and moving the ball on offense stood out playing the four. End quote. Casey feels very emboldened by this clearly. Jack Benter will win the backup four competition, going so far as to call him a matchup nightmare. What are you seeing on this competition, and what have you seen from Jack Benter?
I do actually think he's kind of a matchup nightmare because I think I don't want to say sneaky athletic because I feel like that's boxing him into something that he isn't. I think he's just athletic. His jumper looked really pure to me. That's where I think the matchup nightmare stuff comes in because, like, let's say you go Benter, Jacobson, 4-5, whatever combination at the 2-3 you want to go. I think Fletch is going to play a lot with the backups more so than anybody from the starting lineup. Omer, Fletch, we'll say CJ Cox, Benter, Jacobson. That's a really formidable lineup. And I think that amount of spacing for an Omer Meyer, who's like a passing wizard, by the way, I think is going to cause a lot of issues for teams, man. Again, like I don't want to speak on the defensive side of things because I do think Purdue has a lot to kind of work the kinks out with defensively. I think Benter can get in a stance a little bit and get some stops. CJ Cox, Shakari Harris are pretty good defenders, really good defenders even. Daniel Jacobson can protect the rim. Like this might be a formidable defensive lineup along with offensively, like how do you stop them? Um, and I think having TK in the starting five, you're going to play one style of basketball. But I think then you put Jack Benter, and I think it makes Jack Benter even harder to stop because you're going to game plan around TK. You're not even going to worry about Jack Benter when you're doing like your defensive game plan necessarily. Your focus is going to be on the starting five. He's so polar opposite him that I think it makes it even harder to stop, right? Where he can just sit in that corner and knock down a bunch of threes. He can cut to the lane and you can throw him an oop. And he's so opposite. I just think it's going to be hard to stop, along with a passing wizard and Omer Meyer having a lot of floor spacing. I don't know, man. There's a lot of times where I'm not sure how Purdue's going to get a stop, but I have no idea how anybody's going to stop Purdue.
Dion, you okay? You look a little sweaty.
So every August, September, my air conditioning breaks and there's just nothing I can do about it.
Dude, that's tough. Out in California too. Like, I mean, what is it, like 80 degrees still there today?
Today's gonna be like 85, 90, but like peak summer, it gets like 110. My AC just doesn't ever hold up.
I mean, it sounds like it's a bummer that you can't take advantage of Duncan Mechanical Solutions because Duncan Mechanical Solutions is an HVAC company based in Angola, servicing the tri-state area, bringing commercial quality to the residential world with excellent customer service. You heard us talk about Duncan Mechanical last summer. If you need heating or air conditioning, kitchen or bath remodeling, or all of the above, Duncan Mechanical is the place to go in the Midwest. Go to duncanmechanicalsolutions.com to take advantage and make sure you don't wind up like Dion. Yeah, I am buying into Benter's future in a big way. What it looks like in the present is more up for debate for me, but I still see the vision for it. I think Casey, like, I have no problem with what Casey's writing on this. At first, I did chuckle just at using the term matchup nightmare with Jack Benter. I think for obvious reasons, it's just kind of like that. That's quite high praise for like the 10th or 11th guy on the team, but I can see why you would feel that way. He's extremely versatile. Like he was hooping. He was filling up the stat sheet. He was hitting threes off the move. He was putting the ball on the floor. He can pass. He can rebound. He's an athlete. He broke a backboard in high school. Like clearly, Purdue fans were right about Benter the prospect, and we were wrong for kind of laughing at all of that. Now it still needs to happen, right? We're saying all this. We were wrong before he's ever even played a minute of college basketball. I think we should probably like wait and see it happen because there is a world where he just doesn't win the role that we think he's deserving of right now. But at least from the data point of this weekend, he looked clearly like the best option. It's really interesting because I keep coming back to how they're framing everything as a battle, and it makes sense. But it's really interesting because compare this to how we talk about shooting guard, right?
Mhm.
At shooting guard, the battle is not who can be a matchup nightmare, who can do all the versatile things with the ball. It's who fits between Braden and TKR, right? So we're going to go away from the guy that is a matchup nightmare in Omer and a guy who is the guy who can do everything with the basketball because we need fit between our two stars. Benter's in an interesting spot because we're talking, what, 8 minutes max behind Trey Kaufman-Renn? And in theory, if we're just looking at the four spot, he's only playing when Kaufman-Renn's on the bench. So in that sense, much like Omer as backup point guard right now, you want the guy who can do versatile things with the basketball. You're not worried about fitting him next to TKR. So great. Benter needs the ball. Let's get him the ball. I also think Benter can play without the ball, but you get what I'm saying. Like Benter's quote unquote matchup nightmare versatility, 3 level scoring only comes to fruition if he's playing when TKR is on the bench. You wouldn't want 3 level scoring from Jack Benter if he's playing in between Braden and TKR. You'd want him to stand in the corner. So um, it's kind of interesting because it's not just backup power forward. That's where he's worked a lot of the offseason. But there are also minutes available behind Fletcher at the three. And if Jack Benter was like really, really good, I think he would factor in at the three a little bit too.
Mhm.
But that's different because if he's at the three, then you are talking about playing in between Braden and TKR. So, Liam Murphy, as much as he didn't impress in the scrimmage, Murphy probably fits better between the two stars than Benter does, but Benter's a much more dynamic piece. I don't know how it's going to shake out.
I don't think so. So Benter at the three, I think, is like the ideal scenario, right? Like that's like
It's
four,
where his
even four.
future is, right? Like long term, we would think he's a three, not a four.
Yeah, but I think the way he fits into this team with his current skill set is that matchup nightmare four, because I don't think at the moment he guards threes that well. Like watching him move on in the scrimmage, like laterally, that's not fully there yet. He can handle his like in terms of like in the paint and whatnot. And also like I say he's a good shooter and I say he can shoot it. I think there's a difference between being a good shooter at the four where no one's really guarding you out there and being a good shooter at the three where you're getting pressured as soon as you cross half court. I think it just puts him in some spots where like his skill set isn't ready for it yet. But I do agree, like that's the ideal scenario for him. That's where his future is. That's probably where he is a year from now. But right now, I like the matchup nightmare four stuff, and it's kind of just like a, like the way teams win championships isn't your best starting five. It's how do you win the minutes, or how do you at least keep it close with Braden and TK off the court to where when they come back in, if they had a 7 point lead, they still have a lead. Or like even maybe they still have close to a 7 point lead that they can pile on depending on who they're playing. I think Jack Benter at the four would throw teams off enough to where it's like you can win those minutes, or you can at least keep it close. And if you do those two things, Braden and TK are going to win their minutes for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to me too. Yeah, it'll be interesting because again, it's kind of the same conversation with Omer. Okay, you're going to win the backup spot, but are you also good enough to play in between the two? And those are two very different assignments. With Omer, it seems like the answer is no. With Benter, I might buy that he could factor into three a little more than I'm buying that Omer could factor into two right now, if he's as good as Casey believes and other people believe. But it's not hard to envision a future a year from now when TK and Fletcher and Braden are all gone, and you're building around like Omer, CJ, Jakari, Benter, and Daniel Jacobson. Like roster's pretty plug and play next year already, isn't it?
I mean, they already got the roster, and like I think Paint's proven what he's going to do in the portal.
Yeah.
I don't know. This team, can I make a future for the future?
How many units are we trying to put on future Purdue?
I feel like I got to go at least three with my dog Omer.
It's just three every year.
As long as Omer's there, I feel like I got to go three. When he declares for the draft, we reevaluate.
That's totally fair.